we provide a holistic program that serves to help you thrive with ADHD, not in spite of it. Visit Renify, RENAF as in Frank I.com to learn more about what we have to offer. And remember to check out our YouTube channel for ADHD resources and information.
A lot of people on the spectrum, they don't know what they are good at or what they like to do until they do it.
Yeah, that thing where you get your feet wet and you try stuff out. It seems, I mean, I worked, I had some summer jobs. Okay, I get what this thing is. Am I doing this again or not?
People with ADHD and high functioning and autism have very high IQs. We don't have exact research on that. I know that, but every person I've met that says they have ADHD is super smart, but has such low confidence about themselves.
Are there jobs that are like super ADHD friendly jobs?
Absolutely
look in that
not.
direction, no?
Absolutely not. That's a myth. It was probably created 30 years ago by some wonderful attitude author that said, here are the top 10 jobs for somebody with ADHD. And you hear this a lot. And that's where I kind of dig into more deeper things like mindset. When you read Carol Dweck's book about mindset, it's fascinating that we really can improve our brains. I've done it myself. I know it. You can. And you can't, but it's about motivation. You can't do anything you want to do. You have to want to do it. And I think that's where, that's a myth that that ADHDers can only do certain things. Or I remember I always heard, oh, my son has ADHD, he cannot have a desk job. And then we had COVID. I'm like, oh, everybody's got a desk job now.
Well,
I just knew it. I knew it. I said, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Now,
what can you do from your house? Yeah.
You have to adjust. So we've all learned that we've had to adjust. And that's what we do in ADHDers. We have to adjust. So, it really is about what your passions are. It's not about your ADHD.
So there's Rick put something great in the chat that's just such a good nugget. I feel like it's worth saying out loud, which is when you've met one ADHD person, you haven't met them all, right? You've met, that's just one, right? That's one expression of ADHD-ness, right? And then I really like this other, a little earlier, another myth that exists in our culture is that if you do poorly in academics, then you should go to blue collar or pink collar job or secretarial work was cruel and unusual punishment. And I will say the level of classes I was in high school, that is what they thought would be the thing. And I remember really scoffing at it. But when you're an administrative assistant or executive assistant to somebody who's interesting, doing interesting work, then that work can be interesting. But this idea about the academics, my stepbrother, who was the person in our family diagnosed with ADHD when we were school age, he thought he was going to do work with his hands. He thought he was going to do like air conditioning and HVAC work. And once he got to college, he loved it. He's got a PhD and a master's, got more education than any of the rest of us. So, we really have to get our feet wet.
Yes, we have to that's so important, is getting your feet wet, but trying things out. We're all individuals. What's good for you might not be good for another person, but you're the only one that's going to know that. And you have to try it. I see that discouragement.
Yeah, how to overcome discouragement.
Negativity. So we were kind of jumping around with ADHD and myths, but that's part of what I've seen as the challenge, is that the job the job search the whole procedure of it. Writing a resume, interviewing, going on interviews, looking for jobs is really stressful and hard. And people are usually feeling really crappy and down about themselves. And that's the first thing, is overcoming discouragement, is making sure you're really taking care of yourself first during this whole process.
Getting enough sleep, exercising, eating well. Sometimes we get mad at ourselves and we think, well, I'll stay up and do this thing, so I'm just going to muscle through it the whole way.
Yeah.
Not realizing how much it costs us energy-wise. So how are you going to be your best or do your best work after that?
Exactly. Or how are you going to feel confident enough to apply to a job that you don't feel like you have enough experience for, or you're not smart enough, or you're not experienced? I want you to, it's really to feel good about yourself. So self-care is absolutely number one for ADHDers.
Yep.
To deal with this whole process. And it does take time. And that's the other thing, is people really need to know that the looking for a job or changing a job can take 6 months to a year. Just like you talked about real estate, if you're looking for a house, how long does that take? It takes a long time. You have to do a lot of work. You have to fill out things. You have to go look for houses. But this is going to be a job that you're going to have for the rest of your life. Take your time.
You'll have it until you don't anymore.
Which is okay too, because people are, going, imposter syndrome.
Yes.
I see that. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's go there, since
I'm kind of jumping around, but it's okay. Did we cover ADHD careers that there is no list of careers? I think that's important. You can do whatever you want to do. There is a but. So we do have to be careful, because some of the medications we take are not accepted on certain jobs. And we just have to accept that. We just have to say, okay, that's just not a job for me. I take ADHD meds. You can't be a police officer or a commercial pilot, firefighter. I don't know all of them, but I know those specifically. And if that's the case, then you just have to know that, and not worry about it. And there are thousands and thousands of jobs out there. I think it's important for young people, again, that are looking at, what are my career options out there? What is my ADHD going to prevent me from doing? That's what I want them to realize,
Imposter syndrome. How would we quiet this or manage this set of, this internal conversation while we're on our job search?
So I think it's really internal conversation. And that's why it's so important for all of you to get exercise, get outside, do meditation, eat healthy food, deep breathing, mindfulness. Really take care of your body, yourself, your mind, so that you're making the right decisions and you're not feeling that negativity, because those rumination, all that stuff really affects us when we feel bad. When we're feeling positive, we can brush it off. But when we feel bad or out of work or scared or broke, it's just constant. It's, fight or flight. That's why I always do this with my brain. It's either this part of our brain, which is where we think, the frontal lobe, where we're so smart and we can solve anything and do any computer program. And the minute the boss walks in the room, boom, we forget everything. We're thinking in this part of our brain, and how can we run out of the room? So imposter syndrome really picks up when you're interviewing. And what I want people to do is, think of it more as, you're not an imposter, but you're acting as if you already have the job.
That's how much you belong there, right? Yeah.
Right. So get over imposter syndrome and embrace it. Yeah, it sucks sometimes. I get it. I don't want to be like denial or anything. It's real. But there are ways. Drink some water, exercise. We know that dehydration causes anxiety. So before you go on the interview, bring some water. It's like, think ahead. What am I is imposter syndrome going to get in my way? What can I do to prevent that?